the Auditor General did not accept the appointment. I came out and said that because I have an insight. The Gambia government have been plotting to take out the Auditor General. I happen to have contacts, and a contact that was privy to what was happening, and I was kept in the loop. The minute the announcement was made, I contacted that person. I said, what happened? You told me that this guy was not going to accept this. And he said he didn't accept it. And he gave me the law out. That's why I came out and debunked this appointment. Now, that's not the only thing. The contact, as I have said before, gave me the insight of the entire plot to get rid of the Auditor General. To the extent, when I started to reveal, to the extent, members within the government went through an intermediary, second intermediary to someone who is close to me, whom I have respect, to try to persuade me not to reveal what have transpired. And I can tell you one thing. If my contact allows me to put the material evidence out there, I will do that. I'll respect people's, to protect them, because that was the agreement, I'll protect them. I will do as much as possible. But if they allow me, I'll put it there and Gambians will see this. What does this mean? I can tell, and I can swear to the Holy Quran, that the Supreme Court themselves, they know, as a matter of fact, that the Auditor General did not accept verbally, did not accept the appointment. If you read carefully, what they try to do, instead of using evidence, and remember, the Chief Justice wrote on evidence, and if I can remember, the publication is the rule of evidence, law of evidence. I think it's the law of evidence by Assan Jallow. He knows. And all those judges, they know how to rely on evidence. But they choose a secondary evidence in order to accomplish the executive's desire. The desire of the executive, I'll come into that. What else why do I know that? I have evidence of a High Court judge, a female High Court judge, interfering, trying to make so the case was withdrawn from the Supreme Court. And I know that one of the judges, in fact, I will not say one of the judges, and I know that Assan Jallow is instrumental because of the relationship between that judge and Assan Jallow. Is instrumental, or would be instrumental. Let me put it this way. I believe that Assan Jallow will be instrumental in getting that female judge to interfere in order to persuade the plaintiffs to withdraw the case. Why would I say that? Because Chief Justice Assan Jallow realizes that it was a clear-cut case that this case was unconstitutional. And the verdict can just go one way. And he does not want to serve that verdict. And I can tell you, during the process, even of the trial, efforts were made. And the entire judgment was it's a plot. It's a plot. to satisfy the executive. This is why they come to the conclusion. That's why they come to the conclusion. I have evidence of this. I'm not saying I think I listen. And let's go to logic. Let's go to logic. First, how would I have known? How would I have known that the minute, because when I came out was the minute they made the press statement that they have appointed these people. Why would I choose to select one of the appointments and say that he did not accept it if I did not have facts? And it transpired, he did not accept it. It transpired, he did not accept it. And every narrative I gave came in as form of affidavit in the courts. All narrative I gave came as affidavit to court. How would I have known? Because I have an insight who were plotting this. Let's come to the logic again. Would we just ask ourselves, why would a president, or why would presidents, you may make it directly, why would President Barrow have a need to reform or he have a right to it? We're asking the need, because you can have a right to something, but you do it based on your needs. To reshuffle the cabinet, but to decide to go and take an oversight person, the supreme auditor of the government, decided to select the supreme auditor of the government to bring him under his control in cabinet. Why would he want to do that? Let's just stop there for a minute. President Barrow wants to resolve a cabinet. But the only position that matters here to resolve was to bring someone to the Minister of Trade. This was, I can tell you that. Why did I say that? Let's stop there again. Why did I say that the only position here necessary was to bring the Attorney General, the Auditor General, Modou Cissé, to the position of trade? Because once Modou Cissé was removed for the position of, once President Barrow wants the position of trade vacant, he have to offer the position of trade that the minister who was occupying the position of trade ministry, who is a teacher as a profession, an educational administration as a profession, to go to the defense ministry. To the defense ministry, for God's sake, because of the defense ministry was the only vacant ministry. Obviously, he cannot take the Auditor General from the auditor positions to the defense ministry. He said, okay, let me take the teacher from the man and replace the teacher with the Auditor General. Then the entire reshufflement resolve around bringing in the Auditor General from the Auditor Office to Cabinet. Why would he want to do that? If you go to the court proceedings, the Supreme Court proceedings, which again the Supreme Court judges have looked at, evidence based on the outcomes of the audit reports from the GRA, where we know Yankuba Dabo is technically the financial muscle for President Barrow. Yankuba Dabo, yes, Yanks of GRA. GRA, we know how corrupt he is, how corrupt the institution is. To the extent, the other audit, it's what they used to call the food security, whatever. We know how implicated President Barrow is in that, because the person, Mohammed Ndiaye, who is in charge of that institution, is how to call it? a brother to President Barrow by extent of President Barrow being brought up in that household by Mohammed's father. But not only that, because of the millions of dollars that they have the transactions of millions of dollars that went through for the President Barrow's nephew, Amadou Sane, and that institution, the food security marketing, whatever you call them. Two, the lands audit. The lands audit. You know, there are, and we are going to come out. All these things will come out. The lands audit, which President Barrow doesn't want to come out. These are all the reasons. These are all the reasons. Behind the scenes, they try to muscle, they try to control. These are things presented to the Supreme Court. They have seen that evidence. They know the reason why this person, he was not only illegally removed, but the reason for there was a reason for him to be illegally removed. This is another rationale we should think about. One, why would President Barrow want to reshuffle? To get the Auditor General to come into cabinet, because of the Auditor General have served, Modou Cissé have served as an obstacle. Now think about it. You think if Modou Cissé have complied and delayed the audit reports, or how to call it, or dilute the audit reports, you think this would have been a case? Do you think that Modou Cissé would have been redeployed to the how to call it, would be redeployed to cabinet? No. If he had complied, would not have happened. Would not have happened. Now, you think that if there wasn't something that President Barrow feared from the Auditor General, you think he would have moved the Auditor General? No. Again, you think if the President has powers to appoint and fire the Auditor General, you think we would have been here today talking about it? He would have removed him and fired him. But that's why it was a really good reason, even during the dictatorship, because of these laws came during the dictatorship. But it was forced onto the dictator by the international community to make sure that position is protected. The person serving that position is protected. This is something that the Supreme Court judges knew. Then their judgment should have reflected the importance of the independence of the bureau. The judgment should not just go about constitutional, but entirety of the judgment should have been based on the importance of that protection, not to look for excuses. Let's move from that. We have established the reasons behind this. Let's look at the main context, the ambush. How these things happen? The statement given, which again the Supreme Court judges have seen, the statement given by the Chief of Staff, MOKC or MODCC, stated 1 week before the appointments, Chernoshaw, who was Director of Audit, was invited at State House and consulted if he would want to serve as Auditor General. Rightly so. Then the President was, even if the President was not aware of the importance of consultations, concurrent consultations, if he was not the procedure of how people should be appointed to major constitutional positions, that's not an excuse. He was aware. We just want to bring it to you. He was aware that he needed to do a consultation. When they tried behind the scenes. Modou Cissé, you see again, Modu Sise, the Sises are this, when Modu Sise was appointed Auditor General, there was a narrative going that, oh, he got the job because of his good relationship, or some people even said they're cousins to Modu Sise. Later, I established that they are not cousins. They are childhood friends. They come from the same area. They've been friends for that long. But they are not related. But they are friends. Some people allege that, probably I might have made passing statement to that they were relatives to explain the things. That's why he got the appointment. But what's important here, he have proven that even if they were relatives, he have the integrity to serve, and he have the competency to serve. Nobody questioned his competency or integrity. But what is important here, why am I digressing there is, it was an assumption from their end that because of the proximity, they can influence, but they try to influence. Now we are going to the context of what happened, how they ambushed him. They tried to influence. He refused. He refused. As I said, if he had agreed, there would be no problem. He will continue to serve. His position is protected. Because of he refused, they have to have a plan. They have to have a plan to remove him. And I can say this. The entire cabinet held a cabinet meeting. And none of these cabinet members, from the vice president, would deny this fact. They held a cabinet meeting on removal of the Auditor General. It's a fact. How would I know? You have not read that on the press, but I can tell you that have transpired. They tried. They cannot. Now they have to remove him. And a cabinet minister, for that matter, Sidiketa, I am going to name names. I have receipts. I have evidence. If my contact allow me, probably if he finish serving his position, he will allow me to release it. Sure, soon he finishes. Probably his next assignment would not be affected if I release the evidence. But I can tell you, I have the evidence that Sidiketa said that what can be done is the same thing they did at Central Bank when they wanted to remove the Central Bank governor, Bakari Jammeh. I hope I'm right. I think it's Bakari Jammeh. And interesting enough, Bakari Jammeh too was transferred to the Ministry of Trade. Exactly. Bakari Jammeh too did not want to take that position. Bakari Jammeh was consulted. He said, no, sir. This is why, again, this time they don't want a consultation. Let's stop at there. They improved on their strategy, their tactics. Bakari Jammeh was consulted at State House that we want to move you from the Governor Central Bank to the position of Trade Minister. Bakari Jammeh said, no, sir. This time round, they said, we learned from our lessons. We are not going to do consultation. I'll get to that. When Bakari was appointed, he refuses. He refused to take it. And why again? The similarity. Because President Barrow wanted to sell Megabank to his friends, Wage, and some Eastern Africans, some people from Congo, and others. Because Bakari Jammeh said, no, sir, we cannot do it that way. We cannot be selective. If we are to sell, we have to put it to the open market. Then, thank you very much, Bakari Jammeh. Then we can have the maximum return. Bakari was victimized. But because of they settled with Bakari, they thought this is the same way we're going to do with Modu Sise. The same way. And guess what? That same megabank now is sold to the same people that Bakari said no. Then Adama Barrow was involved in this. But before they even sell it this time around, they stripped the mega bank. How many millions? Over 300 million given to Amadou Sane, the nephew of the president, before they strip so that they can sell the bank. And still the amounts they sold that bank is disputed. Let's come back to it. Now, Sidi Keita made this assertion that they're going to do this because they have a precedent on that. And they went and did that. After the plotting and everything, what have transpired, which have transpired in court? Now tell me, this narrative, this is what the Supreme Court judges have looked at and unanimously agreed. This is even, you see, there's no descending. Unanimously, this is how criminal it is. Unanimously under the Chief Justice. This is disappointing. This is disappointing. Now, what is even the point of having the Supreme Court? Now, let's look at this as if, as common people, not legal even, that we cannot see this. Now, Modou Cissé was invited to State House, 1:30 p.m. Before Modou Cissé got to State House, I said this, and at the testimony it's there. He had 3 calls to say that quick. The president want to go and pray. Come, quick. For God's sake, he's an Auditor General. He's not the Chief of Defense Staff. He's not the Inspector General of Police. He's not the National Security Advisor. These are the people you call to say, quick. He's an Auditor General. What is so urgent? His job, Mendes, not that urgency. No, that's the plot. Because the timing, their plot is an ambush. The soldiers will tell you the killing zone, the cutoff point. They have a killing zone. They want him in the killing zone on time so that they can get rid of him. Because they want to put the announcement on time. Modou Cissé must have arrived by 2 o'clock. 1:30, he was informed, he was taking his time to come. Quick, before the president prays, go to pray. Why can't he see him after praying? Why that pressure? 3 times. A call. Modou Cissé went to State House. Remember, there's no consultation. Modou Cissé did not know why he was called at the State House. Did not know. Come to the president. Obviously, we go to the presidency, protocols allow. The president said to Modou Cissé, again, go and look at the proceedings. Go and look at the proceedings. Don't take it from me. The statement of Modou Cissé is very clear. The president said, "Oh, I am going to appoint you to this position. Blah 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 blah. This is what we want. This position. That. Protocol. Thanks for the confidence. I will reflect and I get back to you, sir." This is 2 of them. This is what Modou Cissé said. I wasn't there. But nobody else was there. All those witnesses that testified, they lied. And I'll tell you why they lied. I'll get to the witnesses. Logical, because, let's go. Because the Supreme Court did not use evidence. They used a logical explanation. They used a secondary evidence rather than the principal evidence of Modou Cissé. It's between Modou Cissé and the president. If they wanted clarity, they should have summoned the president to testify. Assan Jallow wrote the law of evidence. Now, a whole Supreme Court decided to rely on secondary evidence on people who were not present. The person who is present is alive. That's President Barrow. Now, if President Barrow did not want to testify, then the position of the principal complainant should be taken, because that's what they have as the primary evidence. That's the primary evidence. Law of evidence again. You don't jump to the secondary evidence. If you want to explore the primary evidence, get the testimony of the witness. Who is the witness, or who is being alleged to? Let President Barrow come and testify. Now, Modou Cissé left. I'll come to the witnesses. Modou Cissé, would you say a president? Let's just be human here. We know protocols. But we know, again, let's stop here. We know that you cannot appoint any person to the position, that important position of constitution, without consultation. And they know that because of the 1 week before they consulted Cherno Sow. And that's according to the statement of, how to call it? Go and look at the statement of Modou Cissé, the chief of staff. He said a week before Cherno Sow was invited and consulted if he wants the position. But the person who is going to leave that position vacant was not consulted. Now, he was given a letter. A letter was given to him that he was appointed. Protocol dictates. He left the State House. On his way, they made the announcement. Can you imagine that? They did not even leave it to the next day. They did not wait for the written consent. You have to. He have to reply to say he accepted it. No. Why did the judges have to rely on and not for that position? How can they not see the ambush? If they were just if they avoided the primary evidence, now they want to go on the secondary evidence. Why they are not critical on looking at the timeline and look at the evidence, what have transpired. But they conveniently went on evaluating things the way they want it to present, because that was their task. Because they cannot say that it was constitutional, but one thing they can do is to satisfy President Barrow. To satisfy President Barrow is he will not be back to his place. Then President Barrow have his desire. The same thing. They knew if they had led the petition of the elections, presidential elections, if they have gone through the evidences and the public to hear the evidence, they were not able to rule any other way. That to say that there was substantial evidence to discredit the election results. They don't want to do that. They will have to look at the technicalities. They have to look at the technicalities and rule it out. The same way, they knew if they looked at the case of the appointment of APRC executives, if they look at it, the context of it, for the interest of justice, for the interest of the public, for the public interest, the Supreme Court should be running on the public interest. They would have ruled that it was unconstitutional, for those people to be appointed. They decided to say that, UDP did not prove that these people were executive members of APRC. They used technicality again. Let's come back to it. Now, how can you announce that someone has accepted an appointment when that person was not consulted for that appointment? When that person came, you gave him an envelope. That person have not replied that he accepted it. What he did was he put courtesy. He has courtesy to the presidency. I don't know Moses, but I can tell you it's not respect to President Barrow. It's the courtesy of the presidency You expect that person to say, no, sir, I'm not accepting it. I'm not taking your letter. Tell me, what would you have done that? No. The courtesy is take the letter because you have the right to response. But the minute he left the State House, on his way home or office, an announcement was made that he's appointed as trade minister. Is that not an ambush? Is that not an ambush? What's so urgent? What's so urgent? But imagine this. When Modu Sise learned about, again, this is again, I am not saying this. When I said it was before it came to the courts. When it came to the courts, Modu Sise said this. It's in the affidavit of Modu Sise. He testified this. Modu Sise went back, turned around, and went back to State House. You want to tell me that these judges have listened? You want to tell me that the judges have listened to Modu Sise telling them, which is a fact, because it's at the State House entries, that Modu Sise went back and saw the president and said to the president, sir, respectfully, I did not accept this appointment. I will get back to you. Tell me, who would rule on that this person has accepted this? You want to tell me the judges would overlook the point that when the announcement was made, immediately within the 4 hours, this person went back to the president. Within 4 hours of meeting the president, first time to be appointed, he went back to the president and said, I'm not accepting it. Why is the president so desperate to appoint this person as a minister? Because he wanted to take him out of there. And now the Supreme Court made that for him. That's why I said the judgment of the Supreme Court should not only about the constitutionality, but to make sure that all the wrongs are redone. The president would not have his desire. But they legalized the president's desire. They made a precedence on the president's desire. That's what they did. Sorry guys for the noise, it's too hot here. I have to open the windows. Just give me 1 minute, it will die down. Now, he went back to say that, look, I am not accepting it. Guess what happened after that? As I have said, when it happened, they sent imams. They sent National Assembly members from his constituency, some of them who are relatives, to his father. They went to his father. They sent imams. They sent representatives to his father. Those imams went to his house and put pressure on him that night. The day after also. Still, this person wrote a letter. I don't know what the father advised, but still this father, obviously then he hold on to his position. This person was not asking for to be paid money. If he wanted the money, if he was after money, he would just have continued his work. He would not have gone to this trouble. He wrote a letter which should be official to say that, look, I don't want it. Now, again, I was the one. Again, why am I saying just to tell you the inside information I had. I came out and said this. And I sent a message out. Those people that know Modu Sise or family members, let them inform Modu Sise that the next day, that the Inspector General of Police have been instructed to remove him from office. I broke this information because of the insight I know about this case. This is why I am out. Because I am enraged about the Supreme Court trying to take this as a way to get out. For an excuse. And it's unfortunate seeing all those lawyers coming out, I don't know, they want favor from the judges or what, try to justify this silly judgment. Yes, because of his acceptance. Oh, because of the Supreme Court said that he accepted. You as a lawyer, you have listened, you have followed these things. If you not, then you should not have qualified to say something. It's open that it's a lie. He did not accept. I challenge anyone to produce based on evidence that he accepted, because the Supreme Court did not do that. The secondary evidence should not have been considered when you have a primary evidence, and primary evidence be ignored. Let them bring, they should have brought President Barrow to testify. Now, let's come to the witnesses. We all know that those witnesses have reason to lie. The chief of protocol have a reason to lie, and he's a liar. He's a Yaya Jammeh. we know what he did. He testified in the commissions. We know who he is, Alaji Sise. Again, what's his name? Is it Nima or the other protocol officer? Because people don't know the background of that protocol officer. Her illegal dealing, yes, I am saying it. Her illegal dealing with that Henry Gomez. Using State House vehicle to move drugs around the tourist development area. Yes, that protocol officer, I forgot the name and the surname. I don't want to give a name. Sounds like Nima or something like that. It's a liar. I think she say, because in the testimony he's saying, or call me dummy by or something like that. It's a lie. They made her to lie. Or he came out and he was smiling and he said this, he said that. How did I know his lie? How did I know she lied? How did I know she lied? Now again, logically, if she said Auditor General was happy about the appointment, why would he turn around when he announced it, he had the announcement to come back? Why would he turn around? Why would he turn around when he had the announcement? It's a lie. They all lied for because of would they say thank you? Would they say they all lie because they need to do that? Would they say have been working with Henry Gomez and others for that matter? Henry Gomez moving illegal drugs, cocaine within the tourist development area. I said that. Let them sue me. Let Honda sue me. Using State House vehicle, knowing that nobody will stop them. From point A to point B. Most of the dealings of drugs are dealt by protocol officers and officers from State House. Running it around, that's why they don't get caught. Because nobody stopped their vehicles at checkpoints.